Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from around the world, welcome back to 99 Pod. Obviously, this is a live that we are recording right now and give my reactions to the Inoue Stephen Fulton fight. Now, obviously, before we get into anything further, I need all of y'all listeners to subscribe to the channel to get the notifications that we have coming your way because they are coming your way. All right, a brother been working hard, pushing out a lot of good content, a lot of consistent content, right? I like to think that my work is good, but at least I know I'm putting out consistent content, right? A lot of these media heads right now are on vacation. I am not. So yeah, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel as we have a lot of content in all of sports coming your way. I mean, it's been a minute prior to this week since I recorded a lot of boxing content, and that has changed this week. I've been dropping out a lot of videos that y'all can check out. The links will be in the description box or on my page as well. And, I want to talk about this fight that took place at the time I'm recording this earlier in the morning, Eastern time, way early in the morning, right? And obviously, I didn't get to drop this video out, in advance because I had other videos that I recorded a couple days ago that has dropped today. So I don't want any listeners to kind of get confused on, all right, why is this guy talking about Devin Haney and talking about the Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou fight when we just had a big fight happen today? That's because those segments were pre-recorded. Nevertheless, I'm going to give you my reactions, and it's going to be short, quick, and sweet to this fight. And I'm going to start off with this. Inoue is the best pound for pound fighter in the world. That's my conclusion after the beatdown that I saw earlier today. I mean, listen, Inoue has shown he's a complete offensive fighter despite the narrative of him being a puncher, just a puncher, right? I remember a lot of people talk to me, a lot of my boxing friends and a lot of my boxing, counterparts was like, in order for Inoue to win this fight, he is going to have to win this fight by knockout. He doesn't stand no chance of beating the slick tactician Fulton if he doesn't win by knockout. Well, yeah, he won by knockout, clearly, but it was how he got to the knockout, which was the more impressive thing for me. Immediately from round one, Fulton had issues establishing his range, and the speed of Inoue was throwing him off. Fulton simply got outclassed, outworked, and Inoue's jab to the body set up the transpiring of events that landed the stoppage. Sure, Inoue got hit with some shots, but he continued coming forward, and he simply outworked Fulton. Fulton didn't really have enough power to get the respect of Inoue and looked very gun shy. And it was very evident from round one on that he respected the power of Inoue. This fight was over in round one. I don't know, Fulton looked like a deer in the headlights, and it's not like the crowd posed any advantages. I mean, I understand he was in enemy lines, as they will call it, hostile territory, but my God, the crowd was quieter than a church. To be honest with you, it was quiet in a library. I mean, no shots at any, people from Japan watching this show. I mean, listen, I'm a boxing fan, and I know y'all all as well. And, I saw a great fighter win a fight that was supposed to be great and all. But my God, the energy was lackluster in the crowd. My God, what kind of home court advantage is that? So it wasn't the crowd. It shouldn't have been the crowd. It was just that, in a way, his speed, his timing, his accuracy, his power punches was just too much to handle for Fulton early on. And once he felt that power, he knew it was the real deal. He knew he just wasn't the bigger guy only, but this guy has some power and some pop that traveled with him to 122. Now, like I said, Inoue is a complete offensive fighter. Now, defensively, yeah, obviously he got caught a couple times, but offensively, man, he showed me a lot, especially out jabbing Fulton, who was supposed to be the pure boxer out of the group. And I just want to salute both of these guys for making the fight happen early. Too many times in boxing, We see fights run its course. We see fights happen when it's too late, when these fighters are dinosaurs. Ally Mayweather and Pacquiao, which kind of reminded me of this fight going in. You know, in a way reminds me of Pacquiao, not because of anything as far as, you know, any racial comparisons, but mainly because of the work rate and the speed that both of these guys, you know, are similar at. When Pacquiao was in his prime, he would throw 100 punches per round, you know, but you can make the argument that Inoue possesses more skill than a Manny Pacquiao. But I bring the comparison up for this reason. This fight happened at the right time, early. That's when we find out really who's the better fighter. You know, if this fight happened 5 years from now, this fight could have turned out totally different, right? Fulton could have won this fight. Why? Because every fighter aged differently in the sport of boxing, right? The wear and tear and all that. And when you get older and you're not in your prime anymore, the first things that go is your legs and your speed, right? And your elusiveness starts to decline. So the fact that this fight happened on time, we really got to see who that better man was in that ring. And clearly, that was Inoue by a mile. I mean, Fulton didn't stand a shot. So it just has me reminiscing to back in history, saying, what if Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao happened at the right time? Would that outcome have been different? Would it have become different if it happened in a prime? With the way how Manny Pacquiao had the gas tank that he had in his prime and Mayweather's defensive skills, right? But credit to these fighters that I didn't have to ask this question over here. They took on the challenge. Credit to Fulton, you know, for taking on the challenge, going into hostile territory, even though he came up short. Short is an understatement, but, you know, he took the fight. And, you know, he got to keep his head up. And it is what it is. He lost to the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world right now, as of right now. Because obviously we have another mega fight happening this Saturday with Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. And I don't want the win of that fight to overshadow what I saw today. Because, listen, I'm going to let y'all know straight off the rip, I am not a morning person. Okay? And this fight came on, what was it, 7:30 Eastern time. I woke up at 7 o'clock Eastern time. I'm not a morning person. Okay? It's just the reality of the situation. And I said to myself, I'm not even going to set my alarm. If I wake up and it's meant for me to see this fight, I'm going to watch this fight. I'm going to wake up on my own and watch this fight. And I did. I woke up at 7 o'clock and I watched this fight, and I don't regret it at all because I got to witness greatness. Sometimes it's hard to inhale greatness by watching highlights of a fight. But when you see a fight live, right, and you go back and you tell your children and your grandkids what you witnessed live, is a different experience that highlights can never give you. So I'm glad I got to see the fight live. Once again, salute to these two fighters. The only thing I will leave us with is a question for all y'all listeners to answer, potentially at the bottom of the video in the comments. Can Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, the winner of that fight, dethrone Inoue from being pound for pound number one? Because right now, as it stands right now, I have Inoue number one pound for pound. And I said on the last show that I did that I'm actually not a fan of pound for pound rankings prior to like where we are now, because I feel like it switches all the time. No matter who these fighters fight, they could fight tomato cans, they could fight big fights, and it often shifts. But the fact that we have two, or had, obviously the fight ended today, two mega fights in the same week, the next fight obviously is Saturday, I think out of any time that I can remember in recent memory in boxing, that this week will give the pound for pound list any type of substance, okay, with actual results. And right now, I have Inoue number one. Now, I find it hard that that's going to change. I believe Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence is going to be a 50-50 fight, a boring fight, a chess match. Who can impose their will and adapt, all right? It's going to be a lot of respect. These two fighters respect each other. So I don't think they're going to be looking for the kill shot. Crawford normally has that killer instinct. I think that's going to be toned down a little bit, in the early rounds. So unless I see something drastic where Spence just dominates Terrence Crawford, respectfully, I would literally have to see a dominant performance that potentially has to end in a KO for me to have any of these two guys over Inoue. Okay? Initially, I had Crawford number one, and I just moved Inoue up because of what I saw in that performance. A lot of people thought he was going to lose, and he dominated Fulton. He moved up in weight class, and he dominated this cat. Okay? He has, he won titles in 4 different weight classes, and he's moving up rapidly. I understand a lot of people will be like, how could a bantamweight, a fighter be number 1 pound for pound? But this guy is moving up drastically, okay? So if you don't know about this cat, you better know about this cat, because this cat is the real deal. And he's my number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world right now. Those are the Lil Shadama's thoughts and the Lil Shadama's hours. Peace out.